Dharmabytes is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
And then Mara himself appeared to the Buddha and said, "Who do you think you are to be sitting here in the place of enlightenment? What right do you have to think that you, a mere human being, can break free of conditioned existence?" And of course the Buddha reached down, touched the earth, and in that moment broke through into enlightenment. And the Sangha gradually draws out to us that this is a mythical account. What's happening here is that the story symbolises all the deeper forces of psychological conditioning which rise up to block us when we start to move decisively in the direction of enlightenment. The deep forces, you could say, of raw craving, raw aversion, and raw confusion. And there's wonderful images of the Buddha, isn't there? The Buddha sitting there very peaceful, and this pandemonium breaking out around him, this sort of psychic pandemonium. And I suppose Mara's daughters, I guess, the Buddha was, one would assume, a young heterosexual man, so the forces of desire would naturally manifest in the form of beautiful women, but I guess for different individuals they might manifest in different forms. But Mara's daughters really represent, what Blake called the lineaments of gratified desire, the projections of all our deepest longings and desires. So the story communicates something, I would say, universal about the spiritual life, that when we make any kind of commitment, any kind of strong aspiration to move towards enlightenment, the first thing that happens is that we become more acutely aware of all the things that hold us back, all the elements of our minds, all the elements of our psyche, all the elements of our psychological conditioning that hold us back, that are drawing us back away from enlightenment, back into conditioned existence. And perhaps you've had a direct experience of this in your own spiritual life, that each time we try to move forwards, we seem to get a reaction from the parts of us that don't want change, that don't want us to break free. And I find it quite reassuring that, according to the story, right up to the point of enlightenment itself, this is the Buddha we're talking about here, the great spiritual hero, but right up to the point of enlightenment, those forces of craving and aversion, of confusion, of ignorance, of I suppose you could say that Mara's attack is self-doubt, isn't it? Right at the brink of enlightenment, Mara appears with this voice of self-doubt saying, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to think you can gain enlightenment? So right up to the point of enlightenment, the forces of psychological conditioning are there. And the spiritual life right up to the point of enlightenment, for that reason, involves some element of, what's called traditionally striving, working against the grain, if you like, of our conditioned nature.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharmabite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.